A while back, I made a video on Doom Eternal in which I labeled it the greatest first-person shooter ever created. It's just so full of strategy, relies heavily on skill, spatial awareness, has an incredible soundtrack, and has some of the best graphics I've seen to this day, and extends the lore and gameplay of Doom 2016 by 110%. So since then, id has dropped a whopping 2 DLCs on our heads, the Ancient Gods Part 1 and the Ancient Gods Part 2. These DLCs were looking to extend the story of Doom Eternal, as well as offer some new gameplay and enemies, whether they're good or bad. But the real question is, how do these 2 DLCs hold up to the base game? Do they do a good job at extending what we already have and love? Do they feel just as doomy as Doom Eternal's base game did? Are they just good? Well, as per usual, id kills it with the trailers they released for Part 1, and I was in full hype mode throughout the entire waiting period for it. Yet again, the trailers do everything in their power to raise questions, show off a few new things, and we see a baby maker, a purple demon thing, and hey, that one bitch from 2016 is back. But we'll talk about that one when we get there. Trust me. Alright, but seriously, all of that. After Doom Eternal came out, Mick Gordon dropped out of Doom. Take this with a grain of salt because I may have something wrong, but if I recall correctly, it had something to do with him just not getting the soundtrack done in time for the game's release, or not wanting to decompress the tracks and leaving it up to someone else to do. I don't know, I kinda don't care, but all I know is that he's gone, but definitely not forgotten. Then October 20th, 2020 finally came, and the Ancient Gods Part 1 is Doom, but on a hard mode. Even playing on normal difficulty will really give you a run for your money. There seems to be more demons coming at you all at once, and we're not talking about a few measly imps, no. You're taking on 2 tyrants at once in the first mission. Sometimes the difficulty gets a little out of hand, but it's mostly manageable. So the first mission starts you off on a UAC base in the middle of the ocean, and well, this is certainly a strong start to a DLC. Let me just say that Doom Eternal still has some of the best graphics I've ever seen to this day, what with all the lighting and shit like that, and the way raindrops appear on your guns, or the way water goes onto your visor when you look up and it looks kind of foggy. It all just looks really, really good. Within the first 30 seconds, you're being pelted from every direction. You know, f*** 'em up, you're the Doomslayer, you know how this rolls. Alright, I have a confession to make. When I made that first Doom video, yeah, I only beat the game on Hurt Me Plenty. I know. But I recently beat it on Nightmare, and I only died 4 times. Every time I heard someone say that Nightmare was the true way to play this game, it always sounded super pretentious to me, but after doing it myself, I've gotta say, me, it's so good to play the game on Nightmare. It really makes you use strategy and spatial awareness a hell of a lot more than any other difficulty, meaning that you come out of every battle stronger and more satisfied with how you handled it. Well, until you don't come out of every battle like that because the game won't let you climb up a wall. So you run through the facility a bit more and come across the first new enemy in the DLC. Eyeballs. They shoot at you. A bunch of floating balls, huh? Looks like they got their design from the school of Halo 4. I don't know, man. These enemies just feel pointless. You shoot at them 2 times and then they explode. They give you some resources, sure, but I'm sure that their entire presence could just be replaced by a different demon that's a lot more, I don't know, brainful? And they just don't really require any heavy thinking or strategy at all. You just shoot them. That's literally it. And you don't worry about them ever again. You run through the place and do more stuff, and then it explodes! Now the scenery gets really fucking amazing. There's like fire everywhere, and whoa! Whoa, it's Pointless Shark. Hi, Pointless Shark. This room has to be one of the best battles in this, like, entire franchise. It's just so stressful. It has 2 cyber demons, and it just forces you to run around like an idiot, and so a funny little addition to the story is that Anthony Fantano is your partner now, helping you find areas to go to and give some exposition, and he also says Doom Guy, which is just hilarious. Also, apparently Dr. Samuel Hayden is a mystical being called the Seraphim who put the Doomslayer in the coffin he woke up in 2016, giving him his cool demon-killing abilities. Cool. He tells us we need to go get a ball because his body is undergoing transfiguration, which is later revealed to be when a maker's body turns into a demon. Metal. Alright, you thought that shit was hard? Here's where shit gets fucking real. The Blood Swamps, let me tell you, the music here is just amazing. The new composers fucking killed it with this soundtrack, and I think this track really solidifies that Andrew and David are fantastic new additions to the Doom series. I can't even say they're not as good as Mick Gordon. I mean, sure, these tracks are no BFG Division or Meat Hook, but if I'm being honest, give them enough time in another main series Doom game and they'd come pretty damn well close to something like it. My favorite thing about their music is just how raw and unfiltered their guitar riffs are. A lot of Mick Gordon's music was technological and heavily edited, and it sounded cool, there's nothing wrong with that, don't get me wrong. But Andrew and David's music sounds more organic than Mick Gordon's, and it sounds fucking amazing. They master Mick Gordon's technique of just teasing you and giving you so much build-up for 2 entire minutes just to drop an incredible guitar riff on you, and that it's stuck in my head all the time. Please, I need someone to get it out. There's a neat little dog puzzle and a really shitty area where you're not only in sludge, but it's foggy and you can't see shit. And then you get introduced to the new enemy in this DLC, the Spirit. And me. Fuck me. I really love that they brought a pretty uninteresting character back from Doom 2016. I love that, and they gave her a point in this game. And I also love when the devs give purpose to guns and different gun mechanics and attachments to them, but it sucks that her entire point in existing is to bring you pain. I know Doom fans really don't like it when you criticize literally anything that has to do with Doom, so say what you want, say that I suck, say that I don't understand the game, but her ability is stupid, I'm sorry. It's been kind of an unspoken or a very spoken rule that if a game artificially increases difficulty by just increasing stats of characters like speed and damage, it's no longer a challenge, it's just bullshit. Halo 2 is wildly known for its bullshit legendary mode, not only because of sniper jackals, but because of its almost one-hit KO gameplay. Halo CE was perfectly fine. As a matter of fact, Halo CE's legendary experience gave you extra health because it's more realistic. Not only that, but they don't necessarily just increase damage and speed from the Covenant. Actually, I don't think they increase the damage at all. They just make them shoot faster and be more accurate with their shots. If we're not going to give other games a pass for artificially increasing difficulty, then I don't see why this one should get one either. I'm sorry, but if all the enemy does is attack fast, so much so that it's hard to even know what the fuck is going on, then it's not a challenge. It's annoying, and most importantly, not fun. And it really doesn't help that when the Spirit is killed, you have to stand around it for 5 f***ing seconds with the microwave beam and kill it. I don't even think any of these things would be an issue if you could even use your abilities against a Spirit-possessed demon. You can't burn it, you can't freeze it, you can't stun it, you can't do anything to it besides shoot it, and it makes it feel like such a frustrating, bullet sponge type enemy that takes away so much from what could be pretty skillful, stressful battles. Fuck me. Anyway, here's the last boss of the mission. It's a few floating eyeballs. I couldn't possibly think of a more boring boss design if I tried. At the end of the boss battle, we get lifted up off the swamps by this big adorable creature. Why haven't we given him a name yet? I think I'll call him Mickey. He lifts you all the way up into the sky, then places you in this little maker area where there are 2 balls. One of them being the Father Ball, which will heal the Seraphim, or at least that's what he says it'll do, and purple. Doom Guy picks it up and crushes it because he feels like it. I don't really know. So the Slayer breaks the sphere of the Father, though taking into consideration what happens at the end of the story, it may not be the end of him, or what he could be. So the purple ball belongs to the Dark Lord, and instead of crushing it, this f***er picks it up and intends on using it to resurrect the Dark Lord and kill him himself, which, when you think about that, holy fuck. The final mission of Part 1 is the Holt, which is a slight change in scenery from Urdak in the base game. I mean, there's not really a lot I can say besides it's more of what has been in the DLC. Hard. Vega is back and he's sentient, or like Jesus or something, I don't remember. There's another new enemy whose name I can't think of off the top of my head, so I'm just gonna call it a baby maker. It's alright, I guess. It's just a more active maker drone that has a really annoying, almost hit-scan attack that stops your momentum completely even when you're in midair, but it's not awful, I guess. But that Oh boy, that's fucking nothing compared to what comes next. Since Sammy couldn't get his ball back, he turns into this thing. It's honestly kinda sad to see because, well, Samuel Hayden's been with us since 2016. Well, I mean, he also did this, but... So you start the boss fight and you tell yourself, this isn't that bad. And then phase 2 happens. This stupid fucking big-ass piece of shit spawns a Mancubus and a Hell Knight. But they're not just a Mancubus and a Hell Knight. No. They're a Mancubus and a Hell Knight possessed by spirits. Both of them.
Whoopee! More spirit!
You know what? I can handle a Mancubus and a Hell Knight. I might even be able to say I can handle a Mancubus and a Hell Knight if only one of them is possessed by a spirit. They're not the hardest things in the world to counter, you know? They're both on land. They both require close contact to do any real damage. But this shit, this fucking ridiculous shit right here, I hate it. I fucking hate it so much. I just, you know, I could say some over-the-top stuff to really express my broiling hatred for this fucking boss, but I will say nothing. So you beat this fuck, and you're about to kill him, and then sadly, you don't. All of that fucking work just for him to leave scot-free. With the Seraphim defeated, we are left with nothing but the life sphere of the Dark Lord, and upon summoning him...
It is you, in their world.
So that's the story of the Ancient Gods Part 1. Or, I guess technically, the Ancient God. Hard as f***ing nails, a weird-ass storyline that extends that of the base game. It doesn't raise too many universe-breaking questions, which is fine. Oh yeah, about those composers. Before Part 1 came out, we got word of 2 new composers. Andrew Hulsholt, who apparently did the music for Dusk, Quake Champions, and Wrath, and David Levy, who Google had nothing to say about besides the fact that he submitted music to a Westworld music competition. No disrespect, I just couldn't find any information about him. I honestly didn't expect good things from what I was hearing aside from me having no idea who either of these people were. I just didn't think anyone could ever replicate the same music that Mick Gordon gave us. I've said a few times before that I don't know if Doom games could ever be the same without Mick Gordon's music, so getting 2 new composers really scared the hell out of me. So finding songs that could sound good or better than Mick's, it just sounds impossible to me. So how exactly does their music sound? Holy f***, this music sounds amazing. This may be a little controversial, but I think it sounds a bit better than Mick Gordon's music. Though, to be honest, they're kinda 2 different styles, so some might consider them incomparable. So many of the riffs and the choruses sound downright amazing, and I, for one, think it is perfect for Doom. Less techno and more grungy metal guitar. David and Andrew have made the perfect demon-ripping, head-banging tunes, and I couldn't be more thankful. Good f***ing work, guys. Good f***ing work. Jesus Christ. Months would pass until the Ancient Gods Part 2 would release or even get a trailer. Doom Eternal was coming up on its 1-year birthday, so they had to release the DLC within that time frame. Legal shit, I don't know. I was anxious, I was excited, and finally that trailer dropped, and I couldn't stop watching it. It was quite literally seconds long, but oh my god, the Dark Lord has a mech suit, and there's dragons, and oh god, the mech. Guys, it's the Doom mech. The Doom mech, you know that mech that the Slayer had in his ship? The mech that I thought he'd use at the end of the base game? Yeah, that one. The story is literally branded as the end of the war with demons, the final battle between the Slayer and Hell. This DLC needs to be nothing but spectacle. I don't even care if the gameplay is bad or super fucking hard. I just want spectacle, and from the literal actual Avengers scene being recreated in Doom, I think that's what we might get. If I had to use one word to describe the Ancient Gods Part 2, the word would be disappointment. Within the first 10 minutes of playing Part 2, it was pretty clear to me that the design philosophy of Part 1 had been abandoned completely.
What if we spawned 1,000,000 imps for 2 minutes straight? What if we spawned 20 pinkies 2 separate times and had the player use the exact same strategy both times?
Now, I'm not in any way saying that Part 2 is bad. Let me get that out of the way. Part 2 isn't bad at all. It's more Doom Eternal, and that's all I can ask for. What I can say, and be pretty confident in saying, is that Part 2 is much weaker than Part 1 in many different regards. Battles, spectacle, difficulty. It's overall just a lot weaker than it could have been. Now, I'm sure that a lot of my disappointment is what the story could have been, and it's not all completely id's fault. Hugo stated a few times that some things had to be cut from Part 2 due to time constraints, and while I understand that, that doesn't mean that Part 2 isn't able to be critiqued. So now the main purpose of the story is that the Doomslayer is now uniting the forces of the Sentinel homeworld to fight against the Dark Lord. A pretty awesome plot. I don't think I ever expressed how cool the whole rivalry is in the first place. Of course, the Conmaker and the Icon of Sin were formidable foes, but they didn't really feel like unstoppable forces that the Slayer would have a hard time against. The Dark Lord, however, is literally him, so there's a little bit of tension here. The story begins seconds after Part 1, where the Slayer spawn camps the Dark Lord, and he just stops the bullets from hurting him. He tells him to meet him in the ancient city of Amora, and the next mission comes. Alright, I have a few questions here. So, if the Dark Lord can stop bullets from hitting him, why doesn't he use that power to his advantage during his fight with the Doomslayer? The story's already started and there's world-breaking things happening right in front of us. The first mission begins and I really like the scenery. It's bright and grassy, then turns to icy in the second half. It's not just pretty looking, but it adds a good bit of variety to a pretty small 3-mission long story. Though, as I said before, the design philosophy here seems a lot weaker. What makes Doom Eternal so great of a game is that it's absolutely nothing but strategy. Whether it's weapon matchups, reflexes, aiming, it's all one beautiful game of chess, and oftentimes it feels like demons are placed into every battle with the utmost care and attention, not just haphazardly being thrown about. The Ancient Gods Part 2, however, doesn't seem to have this same charm. As I said before, it's not all terrible. There are several areas in the DLC that are just more Doom, but there are far more areas in this that seem like they just want to test your patience. It just seems like it's all only being put here because it can be, and because difficult, and it's not fun or challenging in the slightest. The whole DLC isn't like this, of course. It's mostly done only in the first mission, but it just sucks considering that the first mission of what should be the best DLC ever created is just so grating. There's a new demon introduced, or at least a new variation of an old demon, which is the Armored Baron. The Armored Baron is the Baron, but with armor. You shoot his spike ball to break the armor and try really hard to kill him before his armor comes back to him. Fun enemy. Halfway through the mission, you get a new item called the Hellbreaker. This thing is pretty f***ing sweet. Would I rather have the Crucible back? You know, on my script, I put yes, but I actually don't know which one I like better. The Hellbreaker acts as a get-out-of-jail-free card for ammo and armor instead of a free kill. It's so incredibly satisfying to use, and it's great. Also, halfway through the mission, yes, the mission is pretty long, you come across this massive torch called the Torch of Kings. It's a torch that, when lit, is seen all across the land. Everyone who sees it knows that it means it's time to fight. They don't know where the fight is, or why the fight is happening, or if the person lighting it is even a good guy, but it's fight time, I guess. Wow, look, it's a dragon that I not only can't control, but it's only here for 10 seconds. Epic. I just love the way he pushes its head out of his f***ing way. There are some more new enemies, or again, new variations of already existing enemies. The Stone Imps. They're pretty cool. I find it kind of dumb how they can change the direction of their roll mid-air, but they're here to make sure that not only every weapon, but every mod for every weapon is being used in some way. I can really respect that. As usual, a bunch of cool shit happens, and at the end of the mission, you're face to face with a massive bridge, and you walk on it for a long time. There are these two giant guards, and in the lore, if someone tries to pass them and they aren't deemed worthy, they just f***ing eviscerate them instantly. But we don't get told that. Not even as exposition, so who cares, I guess. You're going to see me complain about the story beats in this a lot. Yes, I know, Doom isn't known for its story, but I feel like if it's going to put this much effort into building its world and making such interesting factoids about its inhabitants, then it at least needs to show a little bit of better writing. I don't really think that's too much to ask. I already know I'm going to see comparisons to the base game in this regard, but let me say something. I understand that Doom Eternal's entire story is based around not caring about story at all. Of course, there's still things there that put a needle through every thread, making everything flow together realistically, but there are only certain things I'm able to suspend my disbelief for. How did the Doomslayer get the Doom Fortress? Why is the Doomslayer showing his biceps? Why is everything around the Doomslayer but him affected by the BFG when he shoots? Who cares? Stuff like that doesn't have to be answered because it doesn't take away from the story. Keep that in mind in this video when I complain about the story of the game. You grab a crystal and leave, bada boom bada bing. The next location is Reclaimed Earth, yet another really pretty looking area. It's like the last mission of the base game, except without all of the, death and destruction. There are a few new demons introduced here, one being the chain gun demons, and the other is the cursed prowler. The chain gun demons just have shields that can't be penetrated, forcing you to either get behind them really fast, or shoot explosives behind them while facing them. They're really neat. I already explained I like it when the devs utilize everything at their disposal, and that's exactly what they did. The cursed prowlers are prowlers, but cursed. When you attack at all, they take away your, everything. You have to blood punch them to take the curse away because good luck using anything else. They run like bitches every time you catch their sneeze. You're either gonna get f***ed by these guys or never see them. There doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason as to how these guys do or don't touch you. I played an entire playthrough without even getting touched by one, and the playthrough after, I got hit by them every single time I met them. There are a lot of neat little fights throughout the mission, and that combined with the just really plant overgrown city, it just looks and feels really cool. So at the end of the mission, the Slayer arrives at the Thunderdome. It's not called that, but I'm calling it that. F*** you. He uses this crystal and puts it in this, and finally begins his trek through the most ancient place in hell. It's here that you see that the Dark Lord has a fucking mech suit. Holy shit. Has anyone noticed the claw mark on the right side of his suit? I wonder where that came from. This is it, guys. This is the shit I've been waiting for so long. There is so much potential here. There's a massive battlefield and giant mechs and ships and tanks, and there's a bunch of sentinels walking through the portals that I have absolutely no emotional attachment to because this is the second time I've seen anything referring to these guys. But, the music is cool. Also, lightning gun. Here we go, guys. You ready for this? Oh. It's just more of what we've been playing. I mean, I'm sure it'll be something really cool when everything starts picking up. Oh. Oh. Here's where I really start to take issue with the Ancient Gods Part 1. Now, I'm sure there are people out there that are perfectly fine with how all this went down, and that's fine. More power to you. But this? All of this? There are ships flying overhead, mechs walking all around you, a literal war waging all around you, and the game is just still what it's been for the last DLC and a half and whole entire base game. God, it just disappoints me so much. There's a dragon that we could have controlled, but it's just a cutscene. Ships that we could have jumped on, maybe even piloted, battled some demons on top of them, they're just a cutscene. Giant Doom mech suits that have been teased since the base game, and something I've wanted to pilot so bad. Just a f***ing cutscene. See what I mean? There was just so much potential here, and we got not only the typical fights that come from Doom, but really easy ones. You do what the Mars mission already did and launch through a wall. There's a bunch of cute little guys here that take one hit to kill. I bet the journalists are going to have a field day with this one, guys. Go through a few more demons, a few more battles, and then click a button that always glitches out for me for some reason. Hop on top of a ship with a cutscene that's actually kind of cool, and then bam, here we are. Oh, wait a second. Holy shit, we are about to engage in the craziest boss fight ever. This guy is literal Satan. Who knows what kind of shit he can pull up from his sleeve. Okay, this is kind of neat. It's not that hard, but I mean, he has like 5 phases. There we go. Let's go on to his second phase. Okay, it's the same as the first, but I mean, hey, we only did it once. 2 times isn't that bad. Alright, 3rd time. Still the same shit. Halfway through the fight, the Dark Lord drops a bomb on you, and I'm not talking about these.
He is the first being, and my creator. When he fell, I ascended.
Oh. Yeah, he's actually the father. Why he waited until now to say this, I have no idea, but yeah, makes you feel kind of bad for him, but honestly, this boss fight is so underwhelming. You're fighting Satan. Wait, no. You're fighting God. You're literally fighting fucking God, and all it is the same thing 5 times in a row, except he spawns some demons near the end that you can just one-shot with a hammer. That's it. The music isn't even, like, blood-pumping either. It's really good, but when you go back and listen to the song on its own, it just... I don't know, man. It's fine. It's typical high-speed, fast-paced boss music, I guess, but it's nothing like Meat Hook, BFG Division, or Mastermind at the end of 2016. Everything about it is just so underwhelming. Hugo recently stated that there was a cut part of the boss fight where he turned into a dragon, and oh my god, it is so unbelievably tragic that that didn't happen. Please, Hugo, if you ever get a chance, add that in like a director's cut. I don't know, I don't care. It can just be a random mission. Just let me play it. When you defeat him, the Slayer kills him, and he says, "No." Then he falls over and begins to faint or die or something because everything that the Father creates dies with him. And then he's in a coffin, and then... The Ancient Gods Part 2 isn't bad. I might even call it, like, decent. But there are just so many design choices and story choices that make it so disappointing, so underwhelming. There are cool additions, but these can't put a band-aid over some of the bullet wounds this game inflicts. Let me state again, I know time constraints exist, but that doesn't make the game better. We don't criticize Halo 2 based on what it could have been, we criticize it based on what we got. So... I think the Slayer is dead, maybe? I don't really know. I don't know if anything can wake him up if he's sleeping because, you know, it specifically said that anything from the Father dies with him, and everything just happened so fast that I barely had time to take in what was happening. If this is supposed to be the end of the Slayer, holy shit, it was a disappointing ending. Good for us, I guess, because Hugo also said that this won't be the end of it content-wise, so we may be getting content that takes place before some things in the timeline. As for the future... well, we have a few loose ends that still need tying. The Seraphim and the fact that the entirety of Urdak will be undergoing transfiguration. The betrayal of Vega, or whoever the hell he actually is. Also, has anyone thought about that one part in Eternal where he'd stated that the Titan the Crucible was stabbed in would be brought back to life once it was removed? What does that mean for the Icon of Sin? Also, please give us a female Doomslayer. Thank you.